What's up, Four Corners? We're live here with Hot Mike with Desert Sports Live. Albert Velarde here with Stephen Parks. And man, do we tee it up for you guys this week. We got somewhat of a local star around here, but certainly a national star, is becoming a national star, no doubt about it. Once you hear some of his stats, he's number 13, plays the outfield. That is Reese Chapman. And we couldn't be more excited to have this young man in studio, Stephen. We've been trying to dial him in for a while, and we reached out to his amazing mom, Leah, who we both went to high school with. Of course, a lot of his family members we went to high school with, but couldn't be more excited to have Reese in on Hot Mic this week.
Yeah, welcome, Reese. We already got to chit chat with Reese a little bit. It's been cool. We're gonna have some fun tonight. We're gonna ask a bunch of questions. We're gonna have a lot of fun, and we just want you to go for it. Don't stop. Just tell your stories. Everybody wants to hear that. We already got to see some cool stuff. He'll surprise you with it later. But thank you for joining us, Reese.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me and everything.
Well, let me run through some stats really quick before we get going, because this is what we're talking about. I mean, you're talking about Reese playing for the number one team in the country as far as rankings are concerned. They bounced around from 1 to 2. I think they hit 3 at one point in the season, but basically have been the number one team in the country, and why not? They are the national champions from the 2024 College World Series last year. This year, though, fast forward, the Tennessee Vols are 26-2 on the season. As I mentioned, they're the number one ranked team in the country. Reese is hitting .317 with 28 runs batted in, 32 hits. He's second on the team in doubles, tied second on the team in triples, tied third on the team for home runs, and tied first with RBIs. I mean, that is a laundry list of accolades. But, you know, Reese, when you're playing for a team like Tennessee, man, do you feel that pressure to produce every single time you step out there, whether it's practice or a live game?
Definitely not. We've talked about it as a team. Our coaches have talked about it. When you have Tennessee across your chest, it definitely gives you more confidence than the average ball player or just anyone who, if you have that T on your chest and you're representing Tennessee, the school, everything. I mean, you just play like you were a kid. You have flair to the game. There's not much to it. We don't try to put pressure on ourselves or anything. We're just out there trying to play ball.
Man, your coach became like a national, maybe worldwide celebrity when he got hired on. He's a great leader for your team. We actually got to watch a video on him. You know how ESPN or whomever did a story on y'all's team last year, talked about how he approaches you as players. How he approaches the game, because, I mean, listen to this, Stephen. This may give you a little bit, but this is what these guys are up against.
Say it like a real broadcaster. Like
number
you did that
one
first part.
in the country is Tennessee. Ranked number 2, Arkansas. Number 3, Georgia. Number 5, Texas. Number 7, LSU. Number 8, Alabama. 9 is Ole Miss. 10 is Oklahoma. 16 is Auburn. 23 is Vanderbilt. That is who you guys are playing in your conference. I mean, and that's in the top 25. I think who might be left out of this? Auburn. I think Auburn might be left out of that. Oh, nope, they're 16. So, I mean, almost just everybody in the SEC. Yeah. It's a tough game every single time you roll in there. Florida, I think, dropped out. They were ranked pretty high up there, but they always have a nasty arms, pitchers underneath them. But, man, and Vanderbilt was in there as well, with the arms. And it's like Tennessee has completely taken over. Talk about how important that is from your coach and how you believe in him being a player.
Yeah. We're out there. We're just trying to win ball games. So V is very, I would say, as a coach, he doesn't have a wife and he doesn't have kids, so he calls us his kids. So you ask him for anything and he'll do it. Like, he's there There's not a single thing that you can't ask that guy. I mean, what the way I would describe V is that he's he's a very competitive Italian that wants to win. So
I love that.
I mean, you don't get in his way come game day because I mean he wants to win as bad as we want to win. I've never met a coach that wants to win as bad as he does. Off the field, very laid back. You can just at all times enjoy being around him. Super cool guy. But anyways, where it is just that I mean he prepares us. They give us everything that we need. There's no need to try and do more. I mean, we have the talent, and we definitely. I don't think there's a single team in the country that works harder than we do. So it's about just getting everything together and just going out to perform. I mean, he's a guy that takes pride in how he goes about his business, and I mean, you wouldn't want to win for any other guy.
Well, I'm gonna steal one Albert's question. I'm gonna back it up here a little bit. Go back. I want you to take us back to when this all started for you. When you got to the point where you're like, you know what, this is my sport. This is what I want to do. I'm guessing growing up you were probably asked to play a lot of different things when you were young. But when did it kind of take us back to that place? When did that start for you, and when did you get to the point where you go, baseball is my thing?
Yeah, I mean, I always thought baseball was my thing. I mean, it was that or football, and I mean, my dad. I mean, he always told us stories about him playing baseball, and I always wanted to play college baseball. I mean, I didn't think I was going to be big enough to play college football, but when it started getting real, actually, I'll backtrack before that and just say I actually got injured my 14U travel ball pitching. Actually snapped my elbow. I have a screw in my elbow. So, I mean, getting surgery on your elbow or something like that, I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's not going to hinder your chances of playing whatever level you want to play at. But so when I was 15, after that year, me and my parents decided that we just wanted to get out of Colorado. We didn't see a lot of guys accomplishing or going to D1 schools, and that's what I really wanted to do. And so I got on a team based out of Texas, and I went out there. I basically lived out in Texas and Georgia all summer. I mean, those were the two places I was at every week, and not every time, since some people may know, but not everyone. I have a huge family, so I mean, I got 4 brothers and a sister, so I mean, my parents have got to go watch them too. They can't just always be with me. And we just happened to be one week out in Lake Point in Georgia, just playing in a perfect game event, and my parents weren't there, and we were playing a team that had other commits, and I had no intentions of talking to any schools because, I mean, I was an outfielder, I was young, I didn't think I was going to get recruited at all, but my recruiting story is a little different than any other baseball player, than most, I would say, because I didn't talk to small schools at all. So I just went and played one game. They had a commit, a guy, his name was Jack O'Connor. He goes to Virginia, and he started that game against us, and I led off the game with a double, and then they brought in a kid named Brock Porter, who was a 4th rounder out of high school, got a double off of him. After that game, my coach texted me saying, hey, Vitello wants to call you, and Sarlus from TCU wants to talk to you, and Nate Thompson from Arkansas wants to talk to you. So I talked to those 3 main schools that night without my parents. I just texted them. My mom was freaking out. I mean, so was my dad. But my dad trusted me, and he knew that I would have been fine talking to him. But my mom was definitely more anxious than not, because, I mean, she thought I was still her little boy, which I was. But, I mean, talking to those schools right away, it was off the bat. So V was actually my first phone call I ever made. And, yeah, I mean, it was very, very surreal. After that, I mean, they definitely followed me the rest of the summer. And then back then, I mean, the rules have changed, and then they changed again. But in order for, you couldn't take like an unofficial or an official visit until your junior year of high school.
I was just getting ready to ask that. Yeah.
This was the summer going into my sophomore year of high school. So I had to go and do some camp there, and then they could show me around the campus and everything. So I did that to Tennessee first. I went to Tennessee first, loved it, and then I went to TCU. Wasn't a huge fan of it.
No, huh?
And then after that, I mean, I committed probably 2 weeks later. I ghosted Arkansas. Funny story was I couldn't understand him on the phone.
You never hear that. That's the last thing you would think if somebody saying, "I can't understand a word you're saying, Coach."
I didn't tell him that. He was just like, he would keep talking to me, and I would have to be like, can you repeat that? I mean, I'm not really understanding what you're saying. But yes, so it all happened really quick, and then, I mean, I've stayed committed to them all throughout high school, and now I'm here, and to the point I'm at right now.
Hey, God led you to that right point, man. I got to talk to your mom about that, and she just said this kid he's so amazing with his faith and the path he's walking down with this faith, and that's amazing to say. You know, the other thing I love hearing you say, Reese, is Stephen and I talk to just about every athlete that we can that's in the college or pro rank, and you had an excellent message that we like to put out there, which is if you get injured, that's not the end-all, be-all. If you get injured, regardless of what maybe the injury is, there's still opportunity for you to get above and beyond. I mean, you're not at some little podunk school, and TCU is not some little podunk school for baseball, and neither is Arkansas. You're talking about three of the top college baseball programs in the last 30 years in the country with those three teams, man. And that just speaks volumes of what one showing up to one game on the weekend, just getting a game in, and it flipped your life upside down for the better, man. And I mean, just congratulations on that. And, that's a great story. Let's kind of fast forward through your trip here really quick through Tennessee. So you've been there for a couple of years. You're now officially the starting right fielder, but they kind of move you around in some areas from game to game. But typically you're in right field. And I'm sorry, I forget, what order are you in the batting order? Do they kind of fluctuate?
Fifth or sixth.
Yeah.
Just fifth or sixth.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that's a big spot to be in for hitting for Tennessee. You're a left-handed hitter. My wife and I were watching your series against, was it Alabama? No, it wasn't Alabama. Who'd you guys play before Alabama? Florida, that's what it was. And I was telling Stephen and my wife and I were sitting there watching you play, because now we become big Tennessee fans because of you and your coach, of course. I mean, we really like his message too. And the announcer says, well, this game could be over in a hurry if Reese Chapman puts one out of the ballpark here. No later than 2 pitches later, man, you cranked it right out of right center field. It's probably close to the deepest part of the field. And then it was game over, and to watch you run around the base path and everybody kind of mob on you. One of the things that we got to talk with Tyler Wolfert was the atmosphere at Oklahoma State. And he was like, it is electrifying. He said, times it by 10 from the Connie Mack World Series, and that's what it's like playing in front of the crowd in Oklahoma State. Talk to us about what it's like to play in front of those wild fans at Tennessee, because Tennessee loves their baseball, no doubt about it.
It's different. That's what I would say. Like, nothing you can compare it to other than if you're a big leaguer. we may not hold as many fans as other schools, but our fans are literally on top of you, and it's loud. It gets super loud, and I mean those are the best moments to be a part of. To be out in the field, to be competing against somebody is just when everybody. It just seems like everybody is so intently watching the game, and there's not a lot of outside noise or outside chatter with the fans. They're intently watching. They're loud. I mean, I'd hate to be the opposing team at our stadium because I've heard some stuff at other stadiums, and especially this year. It's the name of the game, but it's different and different for the best. That I would describe it. The adrenaline rush that you get pregame, when right when the game's about to start, like that national anthem, your heart's like beating, and it's not nerves of like if you're gonna play bad or play good. It's like
anticipation.
I want to go to war with my brothers, and like go against this team, and like, all right, mano y mano.
What was it like the first time that you walked out on that field? I can't imagine walking into that atmosphere. Do you remember that moment?
Yeah, freshman year, it wasn't. We came back. It's different. I didn't play a whole bunch my freshman year, and even when you're not in the lineup, you're just like, man, like you're on the field, like you hear it all. You don't hear conversations, but like you hear the noise, and it's just like it feels like it's rocking, like everything's shaking, and definitely like when you're not playing and you feel that environment, you're like, I want to be out there, do everything, and then that's where time kicks in. It takes time for some. Some also, they're just phenoms when they get on campus. It's just, I would say it's a different story for each freshman.
Well, and just kind of to segue off of that, and we talked a little bit about it before we got on air, but tell us what that's like from your perspective, because we asked the same thing of Tyler, but knowing that every year they're bringing in people that could potentially take your spot, and what you have to do to keep yourself in a place where that's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's especially the case with the transfer portal. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to go get guys to fill positions. But honestly, the biggest thing that sticks to me is Trey Lipscomb, who's now a big leaguer. But he didn't get he sat behind 3 All-Americans his first 3 years. He finally got a chance his senior year, had a great year, was a 3rd-round pick, and is now a big leaguer. He was drafted in 2022, but he came back and he spoke to us my freshman year. And the words he said were just a simple sentence. You can either compare yourself and drown in this game, or you can go out and compete. That's the biggest thing. When guys come in and each year and you just want to compete against them. You're not trying to size up or compare or scare them off. Like at the end of the day, that's your teammate. That's going to be your brother. You're spending every day together, so there's no need to size up or compare yourself with that guy. Why not go out and compete against that guy? And it's a lot sweeter when you win the job than to be given the job.
Man, spoken like a pro already over here.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm giving you a Major League Baseball interview. Hey, we got a question coming in from Facebook, and it's from our good buddy Chris Douglas. Ironically enough, his son plays center field for Aztec High School. He's a left-handed hitter as well. He's going to be a phenomenal player for Aztec High School. And he says, hey, man, we got to know what kind of bat is Reese swinging.
Oh, yeah. So we're a Louisville school. So I use the Louisville Omaha, the 2024 model. I used to swing a 2-piece bat, but once I changed to this 1-piece bat, the middle of last year, and I've loved it ever since.
Man, just getting the best of the best. Talk about, because I know Steven's dying to get to that national championship stuff we talked about earlier, so we'll get to that right after this question. But, man, Reese, I feel like you've got a really good chance to be drafted when you come out of high school and maybe even out of your junior year for the season that you're having. But, yeah, I think what's one of the amazing things that's going to get you prepped for walking into the major league ballparks is the ballparks that you're playing in during conference. And anybody who knows baseball knows, football is one thing, but baseball is a whole nother ball game as far as the SEC. And a lot of people out there are going to probably talk some trash to me, but I know baseball pretty well, so I keep up with it. Yeah. SEC is king in baseball. It's just hands down. There's not one conference even close to the SEC. But the other flip side to that are the facilities, man, that you get to use. Florida is gorgeous. LSU, just one of the top. And then, of course, you've got where you're playing. But talk about the experiences of walking into those ballparks and the fans' interaction. But because when you get to the pros, man, you're going to be a little bit used to those bigger crowds and those beautiful ballparks.
Yeah, those ballparks are nice. I remember... we've been on 2 road trips already this year. Actually 3. We played in the Astros Stadium, so we played in the big league stadium. Obviously those are nice. They're top tier. But I would say, we went to Alabama and South Carolina, and those are 2 top 5 stadiums, probably top 10 stadiums in the SEC. And they got great facilities. Each team's got usually around the same things to just help compete and for their guys to just train and get better. But each environment's different, I would say. It depends. Honestly, there's times like when you play a winning program or a winning team that year, like Alabama, their fans are into the game.
Ole Miss, don't they have a wild celebration with the beer toss out in the outfield?
I haven't been there yet.
Oh,
we go there next week.
Man,
so it should be fun. Like for Alabama, they got a huge student section right behind right field. About 2,000 people can go sit out there, and I've heard some stuff I didn't want to hear.
Brutal is what you're talking.
Yeah, and there's times like where what you want to do is maybe turn around and fight them, but no, like you can't do that as a baseball player because that's their job as fans to try and get into your head. So you try to, V shows us this video, and it's just like pay no mind to anything. So try to have no mind going in, whatever they say, who cares? But and then South Carolina, they haven't had the best start to the season, but they're still a great team. And it just seems like in the SEC, for some of those fans, if they don't have a winning team that year, they like turn their backs against them. They're quiet. They'll say to me on right field, like, transfer here, we suck.
Well, they're not wrong. Everybody wants you to transfer, man.
Yeah.
Well, you got your Uncle Mike's watching, and he said, I love you, Reese.
Yeah. You do have a huge fan base, brother. I will tell you that. I've gotten multiple messages.
It's the perks of having a big family.
When Albert said he was checking Facebook, I was like, oh, my gosh, I better check you too because people can comment on there.
Well, so talk to us what it felt like to win a national championship last year because, there was a lot of pressure on you guys last year, a lot of pressure on your coach. He for a lot of really good reasons, I guess, but he was just, you know what I'm saying. The tabloids come out, the stories come out, and not my words, but it is true.
Yeah.
He's a sharp-looking guy. They always are putting the cameras on him. His cool, calm demeanor. You never see him flip out on the TV to you guys or the umpires or anybody. I mean, and that's when my wife and I, we were watching, we really became a fan of Tennessee. And I'm an LSU guy, no offense, but that's who I grew up. I so badly wanted to play for LSU because they were the big dogs back then. Of course, I wasn't nowhere near as good as you were, but so that was just nothing but a dream. But talk to us about the preparation and how brutal last season was to go through sectionals, whatever you guys are calling them, and then regionals, and then super regionals, and then the national championship. What was that ride like?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was brutal because it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we won the SEC tournament. I mean, that wasn't our goal. Our goal wasn't to win that. I mean, it's certainly fun to win it. Our goal is to win the last game of the year. And it definitely comes easier without pressure. I mean, everyone puts pressure. There hasn't been a number one seeded or ranked team to ever win the College World Series in the last 2 decades or so. And so there's been only one ever. It was either UCLA or Miami. I can't remember. But, I mean, you take that into account. But the thing that we were so close as a team, it took some time to get there to where we are now as a team this year. But last year, it just started. I mean, people came in from summer ball, the freshmen there for summer school, the guys that stayed back just to lift. I mean, once everybody was there, it just felt like it was natural. Like everybody knew everybody. We didn't have to take time to try and build camaraderie, and it just clicked really like right away. We knew our identity as a team, and I think what we just did, we just wanted to play one more game together, and like that was each day. Like, I mean, you go through. I mean, we went through stretches. I mean, the only SEC series we lost was the first one to Alabama. We won. We were walking off the field as they were puffing cigars on us last year.
That's something you don't ever forget.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like a snapshot in your brain, and you don't ever want to see somebody do that on you again. Like the disrespect. So, I mean, as us, I mean, it's just like this year. I mean, you just had so many guys that could just do or fill that spot or do the job or get the job done, get the situation done, instead of just relying on 1 to 2 guys praying that they have to go 4 for 4 in order for us to win. It wasn't like that last year. I mean, the biggest thing is, I mean, we had flamethrowers, but like I wouldn't say we had the best pitching in the conference last year or in the country. But everybody had each other's backs. Whoever had the ball and whoever was up to plate, everybody had their back. Everybody knew that he would get it done, had confidence in that person in that spot. So, I mean, and that was the thing that I had to learn too. I mean, I went through a roller coaster last year a little bit with, I mean, I'd have a stretch of playing all the time, and then a stretch where I'm not. And the funny thing is, when I was little, I mean, I always thought DH was the easiest spot or position ever in the lineup or just on the baseball field. And it's by far the hardest. Like, I didn't give credit to that. I DH'd most last year because we had KT out and right, and he's one of my closest dudes that I still talk to him today. But anyways, you just, like, since you're playing all the time and then you're not, and then like those little spurts of facing adversity can hit you, but you at the same time you got to realize, like, the main goal is to win. And if V thinks that this lineup's gonna win, then it's gonna win. Like, for instance, like freshmen coming in, if you're a sophomore, playing, not playing, in and out, the biggest thing for newcomers and stuff like that when you get to the next level is just you got to know your role. You got to know how can you help contribute to this win if you're not playing or if you are playing, because everybody matters, and it doesn't matter if you're playing or not. Like, I mean, it's a true fact of guys that aren't playing. If your dugout's dead, I mean, you don't have to sit there and be a cheerleader, but I mean, if you're sitting there just having outside chatter, like just a normal conversation with somebody and not intently watching the game or other things, or if you're just quiet, I mean, it affects guys that are playing. I mean, guys that aren't playing, they can sit. I mean, they can try and read the pitcher, whether or not if he's like signaling, or if he's what would I say,
like showing his signs, showing his pitches.
Yeah, like if he's tipping his pitches, yeah. So if you look for that, or different situations, watching the game, if there's a replay happening, if you're have conviction that he was either safe or out, because V looks to those guys in the dugout, and if you have conviction to what you're saying, he trusts you and he'll go for it. I mean that was the biggest thing. Like, you don't have to be not the guys that only play win the game. Everybody wins the game in the dugout, and but that was like, back to your question, was that we just wanted to play one more game with each other. He showed us that video of paying no mind. I mean, there was so much outside noise about just media attention on our team last year, and I mean, it was just, we just wanted to play one more game.
Man, I love that. I was just telling Steven, I bet every coach in the Four Corners or whoever else across the country is watching this is going to hit record right there, at least find out where that conversation just went.
That video.
And they're going to go show their team to say, look, this guy is a national champion right now, and they're fighting for another one, and it takes everybody in this dugout and on this team to get there. So, man, that's such a great message. All right, so
before we get to the good stuff, I have another question, because I kind of want to save that for the finale.
All right,
you know what I mean? Like, that's got to be the finale. And I'm going to kind of turn the corner on you here a little bit. I know we talked about a bunch of that, like all the fun baseball stuff, but you're still a student athlete, right? And tell us what a day in the life of Reese Chapman looks like. Because the baseball is the cool part, but any of these young kids that are watching, I mean, they need to know it's not just baseball. You got to go and you got to keep up. You're going to games. You're probably missing classes. You got to make that work up. Tell us what that's like for you.
Yeah, it's definitely easier as you become like a junior, I would say. But freshman year, you're waking up. We have the luxury of that only athletes have a cafeteria where we can go eat, and everything's like within walking distance when you're on campus, living in the dorms. So, I mean, it's mandatory to wake up and eat breakfast. I mean, they instill nutrition basically down our throats the whole time. But
I like that.
you're waking up at 8 a.m. just to go get breakfast, and then you gotta haul over to Thornton, which is our academic center, and you got study hall. For freshmen, study hall is mandatory. We have the best academic advisor in the country that helps us with everything. Helps us, remind us for assignments. She's got other people in there to help us with certain subjects, and so it's not what everybody thinks, where we have people at D1, we have people that do our homework for us. We have to do our homework. I mean, we certainly can get help, but we have to do it. But it's different. It helps that I mean, COVID sucked, but it helps that they have online classes now. I wouldn't recommend it for anyone that doesn't play a sport in college because why would you pay that much to take online classes? But I, in my major, I'm in sports management and I got in-person classes. So I'll have freshman year. I mean, you have classes every day. You either have one or two. It's always we do everything in the morning for classes and academics. So you're up about 8 and you're doing academics until 11 to 12, and then you gotta eat lunch, head to the field. Depending on the day, during the fall, we lift 4 times a week. So we lift Monday, Tuesday, off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday lifts, and so lifts for position players are usually to start the day. So those lifts are around 1:30. And then right after that, it's practice. Or right after that, it's early hitting, and then you practice. Because I mean, you got to get your early work in before practice, and then I mean, you're there, you're up on campus at 8, and you don't leave till 6 to 7 p.m. In the fall, because I mean that's where you're getting your money's worth. Like that's where you're growing physically in your body, training wise, and you're ultimately that's where you're trying to get your best. No, you're not trying to perform your best, but like you're training on different skills, and that's where you're having the longer days. In season, we lift twice a week. We just try to maintain our weight, and our nutritionist is hard on us. She's always checking in. We have to weigh into her all the time, and then meet with her. And then, I mean, she helps us. She can help you go up there, and she'll help you grocery shop, like write down a list for you, certain things on what to eat. But honestly, I would say like the biggest difference I would say that we learned about is sleep and how much sleep actually helps an athlete. I mean, it's recommended that an athlete should get 10 hours of sleep, but it's so hard at this level, and how early, sometimes early, you have to wake up.
You almost have to go to bed right away when you get done with everything.
Yeah, you would have to go, and you have but you have no free. I mean, you get little breaks here and there, but I mean, it's not like you have hours on hours of free time during the day to do whatever you want. I mean, you're there for baseball, but you're also there to stay eligible to play baseball and get a degree. I mean, so I mean that's the biggest thing I would say is sleep, because I mean it helps recover your muscles, helps you cognitively, and I mean, obviously you can see it, you can definitely tell. I mean, I look back on my freshman year. I mean, wasn't into this sleep. So I mean, I would get 7 to 8 hours, maybe more on the 7 side, but the actual of me like realizing like it helps performance wise. You don't really know, but like you feel more comfortable because you see the ball a lot better. Like you just feel fresh, I would say. But yeah, so I would say sleep is definitely the biggest factor.
Get that body shut down so it can recover properly. Yeah. I think is what you're going on that. Hey, we'll get into some other stuff. Talk to us. Let's hit the reverse here, and let's talk about your upbringing. Like what your mom and your dad and your family, what they mean to you, and the things that they went through to get you and your brothers to this point. Because, one thing we didn't talk about, your brothers are very high-level baseball players themselves, and they're coming up in a hurry as well. So they're going to be somebody to look out as well moving forward in the years to come. But, you know, talk to us what your parents mean to you and anybody else who was really heavily involved with you as a youngster all the way up through high school and college.
Yeah, they mean the world to me. I mean, uh, you can't. I mean, I'm just thinking on just like me growing up. Um, Me and my brothers just always playing, but my parents they would drop everything in an instant, or they always somehow made everything work on making everybody's game. I mean, there wasn't time unless we played. Me and my brothers played at the exact same time. We always had somebody there at each person's game, so everybody had somebody. And but it's the fact that um, they just, I mean, I'm kind of getting emotional right now, just like thinking on it, like what my parents would do, like just to pay for baseball isn't a cheap sport, like so. I mean, it wasn't like we were rich growing up. I mean, we lived a comfortable life, but it wasn't like we can go out and get brand new bats every month um, or new gloves all the time. So just the fact that working side jobs or working extra shifts because having not just three baseball players, but also having a dancer growing up. Dance isn't a cheap sport either.
Heard
And
about that just today.
They figured it out, and but I couldn't pay. I couldn't repay them with anything without. I mean, that's why I still play the game of baseball. That's one of the reasons why. Um, the biggest thing for me was going into this year. I was talking my biggest mentor here at Tennessee. His name's Luke Cochaver. Some may have heard of him, but he pitched here. He was drafted 1-1 back in 2005, but he has a World Series ring with the Royals, and he took me under his wing, and I was just talking to him, and my granddad passed this last fall, and I mean last year it was so easy to give him like, like I mean for the short instance, like part of my why was because for a short period of time he was able to watch a game without thinking that he was, or knowing that he was sick, and it was like an escape for him. And so I mean me and my brothers would play that game for him, and he passed this fall, and I went to Hoach, and I was like, yo, like, to be honest, like, I don't even know why I play the game of baseball other than because I love it. Like V always talks about, like, why? What's your why? Some people's why are because they want to be rich and famous. Some people's why is they like that the status of playing baseball, or they like the girls playing baseball.
Yeah.
But I was like, I mean, that ain't my why. And I was trying to figure it out. But I mean, one of my whys is like I want to do it for my family. Like I know what they did and the sacrifices that they put on themselves in order for us to play this game in any other sport that we played growing up. And so, I mean, that's one of my biggest whys of why I want to go out there and just put it all out on the field. Like, there's no reason to think after the game, like, yo, did I put it all out on the field? Or, like, why question yourself whether or not if you did it? So, I mean, that's my biggest why. I mean, that's the only way I can repay my family and my parents for what they did for me growing up and for my brothers. It's just to go out there and have fun playing baseball. I mean, it puts a smile on my parents' face, on my family's face. So, I mean, that's definitely a motivator.
Man, I'm sorry to hear about your grandfather. We all knew him, around here growing up, and I mean, it's wild to talk about what an athlete your dad was, what an athlete your mom was. I don't know if you talked to your mom or your dad a whole lot about the sports growing up. When we grew up, there wasn't a whole lot of sports for the girls. There wasn't soccer, there wasn't, there wasn't softball or any of that kind of stuff. You got cheerleading, volleyball, basketball, and track. That's what they ended up with. But your mom did all of those at a very, very high level, and of course your dad. I was telling you some of the stories, before we hopped on here that your dad was a top level baseball player for Aztec High School, a top level football player at that. Steven played, or did he?
No, he was way more of a stud than I was.
It was soccer, right? Because I don't think your dad played football for very
soccer.
long.
He played football and baseball,
No, he didn't
didn't
play for very long.
Yeah, he played, but he didn't finish it out. I think he finished out with soccer, right? Is that
No, he didn't play soccer.
Oh, he didn't. Okay.
No.
So
Football was the football player.
okay, and baseball was your dad's thing. I mean, he was legit. I remember to this day how hard he threw, facing him as a freshman. He's a senior out there, and man, that guy could ball out. So you could see where your brothers and your sister are getting it from. I mean, just an excellent bloodline of athletes coming up through the ranks themselves. What was your favorite part of playing ball? Was it the travel ball? Was it summer league? Was it high school, college? I mean, what do you think is really what you have the best memories in?
Yeah, it wasn't travel ball. It wasn't high school. Honestly, your best memories looking back when, you get to the next level is you really think about the time from when I was 7 till I was 12, 13 years old, because you're playing with, usually, the way I did it was, you're playing with the same team, the same guys for 5 years, 5, 6 years, and they become your best friends. And you're after tournaments, you're asking your parents, or you're going up to your teammates and you're like, "Yo, go ask my mom, go ask my dad if I can stay the night at your house," because they'll say no if I ask. So you do stuff like that, but memories like that, I think about on that, and I'm still friends with all those guys, most of those guys. From my little league team that I played, I didn't play little league, but my youth team that I played for, we won Cooperstown, and that was such a cool moment. But my best friends that I still talk, they all play Division I baseball. One plays at Oregon State, one plays at Liberty, and one plays at Long Beach State. So
goodness, and those aren't just smush ball clubs either.
Yeah.
Those are top level ball clubs.
Yeah, so we all had our different paths on how we got here, on how we got to this point, but definitely, if you think about where it instilled in my head, where I began to love the game of baseball was between those ages, and because you're out there, you don't have to take an hour to get ready for a game, because you're getting to this point where you got to do a lot of mobility, stretching just to get ready to play for 3 hours. But back then, you're playing 5 games.
That's no joke.
In a day.
We just have to do that to get up in the morning.
That's true.
So, and in between games, you're playing wiffle ball. It's just those are some of the best memories I go thinking about sometimes when I think about on those moments.
That's awesome. All right, I got to ask you a question, because I about died laughing the last time when we talked to Tyler Wolper.
Oh.
I just want to know if you know what this is. Do you know what a sack nasty is?
I've heard about it, but I don't know what you're saying.
Okay, at least you heard about it. We thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
The funny story was that Steven, go ahead and tell the story. It's just hilarious.
He just talked about whenever he was at the JUCO he played at, he just said it. We were just talking to him. He just said it, and when he was talking about it, and he said, we'd get on the bus and grab our sack nasty, and we were like, whoa, what did you just say? And it was their lunch that they would grab. It would be their bologna sandwich or whatever they'd grab to get on the bus.
That's where and, my brother played JUCO ball. He would say that. And
he said that
so
they would
still say it to this day.
He said they would stick the cheese on the window to warm it up and then put it back on their sandwich so it melted the cheese
on the window, man. Isn't that brutal? Y'all don't have that at Tennessee?
No, we have parks here, so that's nice.
Yeah. Oh man, I love that story. It was hilarious. How about that? I mean, tell us what maybe one or a couple of funny stories that you'll never forget. Whether it happened at Tennessee or when you were growing up, but just something that just to this day makes you crack up every time you think about it.
Oh yeah, it happened here my freshman year. You won't believe that it actually happened, but so my freshman year we go to Hattiesburg for the Super Regional, and we end up winning it. We're all excited. We're going to Omaha. We go back to the hotel because there's nothing to do in that town. So we're all hanging out with each other, and none of us want to go to bed. And so, half the team went to bed. The other half went down by the pool, and we just sat there just telling stories throughout the year. And next thing we look, and it's 6:30 in the morning, and he texted us that night saying, "Yo, buses are up at 9 o'clock because to leave, go back to Knoxville, and the airport's an hour and a half away." So it gets to like 7 a.m. Everyone's like, all right, we're going to go back and just pack up, shower up. So me and my roommate was Dylan Dreiling. And anyways, me and him go back. I shower up, I pack up, and he was going to take a little nap. And I wasn't going to take a nap, but I went and I was just like scrolling on Instagram. Next thing I know, I fall asleep. Next thing I know is Dylan wakes me up, and I look at my phone, and it's 11 a.m. We missed the flight.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. Like, my mom texts me, she's like, "Yo, is everything good? Like, you getting on the plane?" And we're like, "Yeah, everything's good."
It's a little bit bigger than a white lie.
And she was kind of confused, like asking questions to Dylan's mom. And anyways, so our coach calls Dylan and me, and we're talking, and they're like, "What are you guys doing?" And we're like, we just woke up. And they're already at the airport, and we usually have chartered flights, so we don't have to wait through security. They just go up to the plane and take off. And they didn't know we were gone until they were going through the checklist, and they were like, "Is there a Reese or a Dylan?" And so me and Dylan it was our player development coach last year, Luke Bonfield. He was like, "Yo, just take like a selfie together." We took a selfie and sent it to him. He sends it into the main group chat. And the only thing Veed said, he didn't even say a word. All he did was he put the little screenshot from the movie Home Alone where he like put shaving cream on. He's like he left us. Like, he was laughing about it. We ended up, we had to Uber to that airport, we had to fly into Atlanta and then fly into Knoxville. The whole team got home at like 3, had the day off. We didn't get home till like 1 a.m. Had to fly at 10 a.m. to the next morning to Omaha. And we had a little Zoom meeting as a team. And V was just saying that we had a really gritty effort to get there. But everybody was laughing. It would have been bad news if we lost that series and didn't go to Omaha and still missed the flight.
So it
That
all worked
is
out, is what
epic.
you're saying.
Yeah.
It all worked out.
That's a pretty cool coach right there to just kind of laugh it
Oh,
off
yeah.
like that. I thought you guys would be running poles or something the next morning.
No, we don't do stuff like that.
Oh, man. Well, tell us, what is your favorite thing about Tennessee right now, where you're at?
Yeah, my favorite thing is that V as a head coach lets you be yourself. I would say that I'll say in a few different examples, like practice. You ain't gotta wear the same shirt as the whole team, the same hat. You get to wear whatever you want as long as it has a power tee or says Vols on it. Like, we're not built like soldiers out here. He wants us to have our own flair. We can customize our glove however we want it, whatever colors we want it, whatever makes us feel that we can play our best and have flair and swagger at the same time. So, I mean, he does it that way. How else does he do it? I mean, just like thinking on it, like that you mean you can say whatever you want. I mean, it doesn't have to be through a hierarchy of leadership that we do here, like where a team names a captain of the team, like this is your captain. He's gonna wear a C on his jersey, and everything goes through him. Like, you can be a freshman and still have the same leadership quality as a vet, and it doesn't really matter who you are or where you came from. If you're there to help us win and to help him win, I mean, it doesn't matter what you do, what you wear, what you say. So he lets us be ourselves.
Well, I mean, we're almost to the grand finale, but I think I mean, I have another question for you, and we talked a little bit about it before we got on, and you know, like, I'm going to try to tie this together. Like, what do you do to kind of decompress, get away from the game of baseball, maybe just take some downtime? You know, you talked a little bit about your faith and how that's important to you, and you know, how does that all tie together for you, being a college Division I athlete on one of the premier teams, top teams in the nation? Like, how do you kind of escape that and calm down, and how does your faith tie into that?
Yeah, it's funny. Faith ties into the game too for me. I was talking. I mean, I've talked with my mentor. I'm in FCA here too at Tennessee. But the biggest thing that he was telling me was that some people don't really understand of, I'm going to go play for God. Like, why go play for God when you go play with God? God doesn't need you to go play baseball. So play with him. And, I mean, so I'll be in the box, and I'll be like, all right, Jesus, like, what do you have in store for me right now? Like, let me see this pitch as best as I can see it. Let me put my best swing on it. I'm not trying out there, chase hits or go 4 for 4 every game. I mean, that'd be nice. It's not going to happen, though. Like, in this level or any level of baseball. So, I mean, I'm there. And, I mean, you just try to be a vessel for the Lord in the clubhouse. The other thing we talk about is we have our team is very faith-based. We have a lot of guys, a lot of believers, and we have a Bible study as a team. And you always wonder, like, what does a locker room or a clubhouse look like when you have all believers? Everybody's on the same page. Like, that would be an unreal environment to walk in every day. Like, you would just, I mean, you're jumping out of your shoes. Just go walk into that clubhouse, that locker room, and you just feel the vibe. You feel the presence of the Lord. Like, I mean, you're just stoked just to be a part of that group. And then the upside that you get to go play baseball with that group. Like, I mean, that team would probably go undefeated if you had that, I mean, environment. But it's so hard with. I mean, you try to get everybody, but you don't want to also push people. You can only, I mean, you can take them to the water, but you can't make them drink it. You don't want to push people into faith that quite aren't there or ready yet. I think that's why, I mean, Christians can get a bad rap on that. Yeah, so, I mean, you just stay in your lane. You always invite them. You always give them an extended invite. But it ties that off the field, too. I mean, that just talking to the Lord, we call it quiet time with the Lord. You just go and you find a place. It doesn't have to be it's like your safe place, but it doesn't have to be in a closet. It doesn't have to be an office. It can be in your bed. It could be, I don't know, sitting at a desk if it's in your room, sitting on the floor, just like the same place, and you just like sit there in the presence. You read, you get in the Word, you dive in, you ask questions, and you try to listen for His voice, and you do that. I mean, that decompresses me a ton. But on the flip, on the other side, that other things that decompress me is like playing video games with either my teammates or my brothers. Like it's a huge thing for me to play with my brothers because it's easier to just sit there and I mean talk smack or just talk to them for a long period of time in like a whole environment of us competing against each other. Then I mean it's nice to pick up the phone and call on them, but I mean I can feel like they're next to me if I'm on the video game with them or something like that, or I mean that's helps. I haven't found a fishing spot down here, but in 2020 I really picked up fishing. And that was just nice, just going out there. But like going on walks, I mean, we have a night. I mean, the river's right next to campus, goes in between campus. So I mean, there's sidewalks down by the river. You can go walk down by the river. Enjoy the weather down here in the south, which is nice. But do that stuff like that decompresses me because there's so much outside of the game of baseball. Like that's where you'll start to drown yourself in the game. Is if you let this game affect the rest of your day, or if your life is consumed about baseball. Because I mean, you can only put so much energy into the game for that extended period of time. And then after that, I always have a rule with myself, like, after I leave, once I walk out of the facility, after a game, a practice, like, it's there. Like, I left it there. Like, I'm not going to let it affect the rest of my day, the rest of my night, how I talk to my parents, how I talk to my girlfriend, how I talk to my brothers or my sister. So, I mean, that's the biggest thing, and not many people understand that yet. I mean, I still see teammates, and they'll be outside the game of baseball, and we always try to get together as a team every Sunday after a series, and we'll still have that. There will be a guy that's, say, slumping, and he's always just talking about his swing, or how, like, when we're just trying to have fun together, rather than we're not really focused on baseball right now, because you let it consume you, then you won't make it far in this game.
That is for sure. We talk about all the time. Baseball's such a game of chess, you know, and it's so mental. Like you have to be so cerebral, and I mean, because we have, you know, we're friends with parents around here, and they'll tell us, oh, my kid's struggling right now because he hasn't been able to hit the ball, or we're working on his swing or whatever. And you're right. I mean, it gets in your head. But it's cool. The reason I asked that question is because I like the kids, or if there's anybody watching that's playing, these young kids, I want them to hear that, because you're really well grounded, and I love hearing everything that you're saying, because these kids need to know that there's more to it than just the game of baseball. And I love hearing everything that you've said, you know, and you have to take time for yourself, and you have to find something like you said, where you have a quiet time and you can just reflect and you can spend time with Jesus, you know, and that gives you calm and peace. And if you can't find that in what you're doing, you're gonna have a difficult time. It's like you said, you're not gonna get too far because life is just gonna get too overwhelming. But I guess now we can move on to the grand finale. We got to see this before it started, but why don't you go ahead now and talk about the College World Series ring and your SEC ring? Like, why don't you go ahead and tee that up, and then you can show everybody those cool rings.
Heck yeah.
Well, first thing I would say is going through that experience. I mean, the SEC, we honestly were just trying to win 3 games, so all our starting pitchers threw and didn't have to go back home and throw bullpens or anything. And I mean, we always want to win, but it wasn't on our high list of achievements that we wanted to accomplish that year. I mean, I think that put less pressure on us, and we ended up performing a lot better and we ended up winning it. It was a lot of fun. But fast forwarding to Omaha, you go through a very dramatic game 1 against Florida State. Down 3 in the 9th inning, end up walking it off. And I mean, after that game, and we won that, like, I knew no one was gonna outbeat us, and we were gonna win the whole thing. Like, you go to game 2, we play a really good North Carolina team, and one of our teammates here, who he can't play yet, it's a whole NCAA ruling thing going on, but his name's Alberto Azuna. He came from North Carolina, and we've talked about that game. He was there, and they were a really good team throughout the season, but it just seemed like they were, and V would say it, was timid against us. They were like oh crap, like they're the real deal. Like, they didn't think that they could beat us, and we were just going on there, and I mean, we wanted to go to war with anybody, whoever was in front of us. And so, I mean, it was Father's Day. That's how I'll bring that up. It was a really cool moment. Me and my family, we went and we ate breakfast, and it was Father's Day. And I was like, yo, Pops, like you want a really cool Father's Day gift? Like, I'll hit a homer for you. Like, that's the best.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I just missed it my first AB and second AB, and the wind was blowing in too, and I was like, well, it's gonna be a tough day to get one out of here, especially in this ballpark. Second AB, I hit it, and it clears by a lot, and I was like, damn. Like, I knew where my dad was sitting too, in those games, because I saw him pregame, and so, like, I signaled to him, rounding the bases, and I mean, that was such a cool moment. And then after the game, I got the ball. Like, a Tennessee fan caught it.
Oh, man.
They gave me the ball, so my dad has the ball. I gave it to him because that was his Father's Day gift. So
that's a great story.
Yeah, that's an awesome story.
Yeah.
You've been holding out on us, Reese. What the heck?
Yeah. So that was I would say, if I went back and answered that question, like, that was probably my favorite moment of playing baseball. But anyways, go through that game. We win that game. We go play FSU again in the semifinals or whatever, the game before the national championship, and we beat them, and then we're playing the national championship, and that's where it was hard. Like, I'm starting. Hunt got hurt out in center, so I stopped DHing and I went and played right field. And the national championship, like, at the same time, like, you think about it, like, it's just another game, like, it's the same game, but I definitely, I mean, you could say that I let it get to the best of me. I mean, it wasn't at the plate, but out in the field. I mean, there was a time where I had a chance to throw a guy out at home, and I like had a brain fart and threw it to second, made an error out there, get yanked, and I was like, dang, like, and we lose that game, and I was like, man, you think about it, and like, damn, and then we go through, so we're down 0-1, and V had a really good speech with us, like, it's so hard to be that team that wins that first game and win it all win it all in 2 games, because we're out there, we're down 0-1, so I mean we're leaving it all out there on the field. The other team that's up 1-0 in the series, they're like already talking about the being national champions. Like, we're just 1 win away. We can lose, and we still have 1 more game. So he was like saying that they probably already have outside chatter about they're just 1 win away from being national champions. And so I had to watch the last 2 games from the bench, and I mean, I definitely, again, where I tie back to where you can contribute. So I mean, I had Peebles, which is one of our guys who ended up DHing those last 2 games. I had his back, and I wasn't praying on his downfall, hoping that he'd go bad, just so I can get back in the lineup and play in the national championship again. My biggest concern was, how can I help this team win so we can go to a one-on-one matchup for the actual Game 3 matchup for the national championship. And so I was there. I had my brother's back. We win that game, and we go in wearing our crispy blacks for the last game, our black jerseys that
Those are
everybody
sharp,
loves, that we
yes.
retired. And I mean, we felt good for that game, and I felt really good. I mean, Simo had obviously a great season and series, and he opens up the game in the bottom of the first with a homer, and I'm like, yeah, like, yeah, you don't want to like think ahead, but you're like, yeah, like I feel the energy, like you feel a vibe where you're like, yeah, we're gonna win, and so win that game, but it's unreal. It's unreal to just go to Omaha. I mean, I went there my freshman year. I've gone for 2 years in a row, hoping for a 3rd year in a row. Not a lot of people can say they've been to Omaha as a baseball player, and not a lot of people can say that they have actually won Omaha and won a national championship. And it's definitely like a dream. You go up there. They wouldn't let my family down on the field, so me and my teammates, after we all hugged each other and everything, and we all left and go into the stands with our families. And so we go up there, and it gets emotional. Like, everything that you put into the game, all the hours that you put in the game, all the sacrifices that because you don't go to a high school party because you have to do this, and you want to do this to better your future. You want to either sleep or you want to get extra hacks in. You want to do something. So you miss out on a lot of things in high school. You miss out a lot of things in middle school, and so, like, for instance, like, I went to 1 homecoming my entire high school year. I missed every other homecoming because I was playing baseball or doing something for baseball. But you wouldn't trade a thing once you reach that moment and you feel it, and it gets emotional. You tear up. But at the same time, you're with everybody that you love and everybody that you want there. And I mean, it's just you almost don't want that moment to go away at a time, because at the end of the day, we're going to have to pack up and leave the field. Like, you just want to take it all in. And, I mean, you see the confetti pop up, and we're getting handed towels, and T-shirts that saying we're national champions. And then, so
Wow.
it's unbelievable. And you can't really put words into how it feels other than that it's just a dream. You almost feel like you're outside your body at the time. Like, you're like, is this really happening? And because every kid who grows up playing baseball has either watched the College World Series or have been there playing a tournament and they went over and stopped by and watched the game. Like, I remember my granddad and my pops, they taken me and my brothers we went to Omaha. We had a tournament in Omaha when the College World Series was going on for like 3 years in a row. We'd always go to one game. And you're sitting in the stands and you're like, it would be so cool to be like one of those guys, like playing at this stage. You're playing in front of 30,000 people in person and then another house over watching. And so at the end of the day, like, everything you did to that point, that led to that point, is like you wouldn't trade it for the world. And I mean, there's probably no other feeling than that, than either getting drafted or making your big league debut and winning the World Series. Those are the other three things that can match that moment.
We'll have you back on when you do that.
Yeah. Hey, man, I'm hoping to get video with you because my wife and I are going to the College World Series this year, man, and we're rooting for you. Well, how about let's see the hardware, pal? I know everybody's excited to see the national championship ring and your SEC.
I'll give the SEC tournament ring. I'll show that one first and save the national championship after. But this is, let's see if this is the front of it, and then you just go. It has that logo on it.
The UT,
It says your name on it, your number. It might be flipped on the camera, but
No, you had it right. It was perfect.
Yeah, it was good.
yeah. And then it also says inside there.
Oh,
We not
nice.
only won the SEC tournament, but we also were SEC regular season champs too. So I mean, we won like 3 things last year, and but the big guy is this. You have the Vols. And it says national champions.
That's a
and with all
beauty.
these- yeah, and
It's
then
awesome.
if you like look close, like that's right there where it says Vols and your number. Like that's supposed to represent the black jerseys. Like this is the belt,
Oh,
the buttons, and then so we retired those. They gave everybody their black jerseys back, and so I have it framed now, and then it just has that logo
Man.
from there from the national
Yeah.
champions and our record, which was we were the first SEC school to win 60 games in a year, and then they have like all the teams from Omaha that we beat.
Oh, wow.
that is
That's
beautiful.
amazing.
Well, I gotta give you a huge compliment here. We got one of my very close friends. I'm very close with him and his family, and he's going to be on a hot mic with the Sioux. But Coach Mike McGaha from Pedro Vista, now down in Carlsbad, you know him very well, won multiple state championships. But he says, man, I don't know you, but I know your parents. All I can say is, wow, I am automatically a huge fan of yours. You are 100% on fire, young man. And I will be following you moving forward. So that's a huge compliment for our good buddy Mike McGaha. But,
Appreciate it.
man, I got to tell you, Steven, anything else before we close it
No,
out?
I just want to say we appreciate you taking time. I know you don't have a lot of it, so thank you for hanging out with us for an hour. And we love your family. We know, I mean, we grew up with your family, and we've known them for a long time. And so we, like I said, you don't really know us, but we know who you are, and we get to follow you through them. And just remember us whenever you make it. And,
That's right.
And we're calling. Give us another shot, right? Let us. So we'll do it. We'll.
I mean, it's the
we'll
least
run
I
it
could
again.
do to give back because, I mean, I was those kids one day back in the day and I always wanted to hear from older guys and guys that have experienced the level. So it's the least I can do.
Oh,
I
yeah.
appreciate y'all.
We appreciate it. And if you're ever in town, let us know. I mean, we'll bring you in and we can do it just to
Absolutely.
do something, have fun doing it. So
Yeah. Well, Reese, again, we're here with Reese Chapman, plays for Tennessee, the Tennessee Vols, #1 in the country right now, looking to win another SEC, move on into regionals and super regionals and on into the College World Series. You're a phenomenal young man. Your faith, first and foremost, I mean, putting that in front of everything else. And listen, someday baseball's not going to be there for you. And I think that's your message is Jesus will always be there for you. And that's how you live your life. And that's the path you've taken. Your family probably is the next tier on that, and what they meant with you just off the emotion that you were sharing. All of our athletes we get in here, they always have that same moment of, they're starting to choke up because of what the sacrifices their family makes for them. And then, of course, your teammates, your coach, your mentor, everything you got going on over there. Man, you're one heck of an athlete. You're blessed even more so with the faith in Jesus. And man, we're going to be following you, brother, and we thank you so much for hopping on here with Desert Sports Live and Hot Mike. And we're going to be looking to maybe catch up with you again this summer after the World Series. Let's make sure we do that for sure.
Yes, sir.
All right, what kind of message you got for these young kids really quick before we close it out? I always like to ask that question.
Yeah, I mean, just go have fun. I mean, the biggest thing is statistics don't define you in this game. I mean, baseball is probably the biggest game where everyone actually does look at statistics and measure you based on that, but it doesn't actually define you on how you are and how good you are as a ball player. Just leave no doubt. Leave no doubt on the field.
Man, I love that. Hey, number 13, check him out. The Tennessee Vols, starting outfielder for the #1 team in the country. Reese, thank you so much. We appreciate you tuning in. All of you tuning in out here, thank you so much. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I mean, just about every social media imaginable. You can find us out there. So click on that. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook. Reese, for you and your family, this will always be archived. So if you ever want to share it or whatever, you have full access for it, or let us know. We can get it to you. We got some ball caps coming to you, as we talked to you about that earlier. And man, we want to congratulate you, and you're an amazing young man and athlete, and we need more of like you moving forward and leading our country and leading our youth. So we couldn't be more proud of you, man. Congratulations, everybody. Thanks for rocking out with Desert Sports Live. God bless, and we're out.
Thank you.